On December 2, 2022, police were called out to a remote wooded area in the American state of Georgia following a gruesome discovery. A human body had been found dismembered, both the legs and head missing, and with the arms barely attached. Members of the local Portal Hunting Club had set out looking for deer when they stumbled across the torso and quickly contacted police. Investigators had no idea that it would take over 6 months to identify the victim and unearth a case involving alleged secret FBI agents, $32 million in funds, and unauthorized cremations. On Friday, December 2nd, police swarmed the woods in Riceboro, Georgia, after receiving the report that hunters had found a human torso. This area was normally only used by hunters and passing logging trucks. 2 members of the Portal Hunting Club had set out that day when they came across the grisly scene. It was evident that the torso was that of an adult white female. Law enforcement spread out and searched the area. A human leg was located approximately 20 yards from the torso, only 2.5 feet away from the roadway. Hours later, they discovered the right leg. Days after the initial discovery, crime scene investigators came across an area that looked like the soil had recently been disturbed. They dug into the soil with a shovel and revealed a decapitated human head staring back at them. While gruesome, authorities found it strange that this was the only body part that had been buried. Did that have some sort of significance? Over the course of 72 hours, the victim's legs, head, and other remains were found scattered across a 3-mile radius. The large crime scene was puzzling. However, the perpetrator had left behind pieces of evidence that police could use to identify the victim, and possibly the suspect. Only a few feet away from where the torso was discovered, investigators located a large plastic storage container stained inside with a red liquid, along with a Milwaukee utility knife. Around the same area, police found used disinfectant wipes scattered everywhere. It appeared these wipes had been used to clean the knife and plastic storage container, potentially to remove fingerprints and any DNA evidence. Forensic testing later confirmed no presence of DNA was found on the knife. While no fingerprints were found on the plastic storage container, forensic testing confirmed the dark red substance inside was human blood. A second plastic storage container was found nearby, also with the same red-colored substance in it. This also tested positive for human blood. Crime scene investigators theorized that these were likely used to transport the body parts to the scene. The body parts were then sent for forensic examination, where it was established that they had only been in the wooded area for around 5 days. But due to the exposure to the elements and decomposition, medical examiners couldn't give a precise time of death. The forensic examination carried out on the victim's skull showed she had suffered 9 wounds to the head, which appeared to have come from a sharp-bladed weapon. Further evidence on the arms of the victim showed what appeared to be defensive wounds. The torso also had several puncture wounds, all of which appeared to have come from the same weapon. Naturally, the red-handed Milwaukee knife left at the scene was thought to be the murder weapon, but it was subsequently ruled out after tests confirmed it hadn't caused the injuries to the victim. The questions remained: who was this person found in the woods? And why did she meet this gruesome end? Fingerprint tests were conducted, but there were no matches to anyone on record. DNA tests were also performed, but no corresponding entries were found in any of the police databases. 2 police sketches were composed showing the likely appearance of the victim, which were then circulated around the media in an attempt to identify this mystery person. Hundreds of tips came into police, with all of them followed up by investigators. But after exhaustive work by police, these tips led to nothing. Several months after the remains were found, a tip came in regarding a 40-year-old woman named Mindy Kassotis. Mindy Kassotis was an outgoing woman, working as a legal secretary before going into not-for-profit charities to help other people. She held a master's degree in public service and was known to friends and family as a very intelligent and caring person. Mindy was married to Nicholas Kassotis, a JAG Corps prosecuting attorney and a veteran of the Navy. Nicholas had served his country through 2 tours in the Iraq War and was a former employee at the Pentagon where he carried out some highly classified work. The couple met in 2014 and married in 2016, after which they settled down together in this small house in Savannah, Georgia. Nicholas and Mindy wanted a family, and finally, in July 2022, Nicholas and Mindy told friends and family she was pregnant. The two were over the moon, excited for the arrival of their first child. So why was her name being put forward as a potential victim in a murder investigation? Mindy's family were asked to provide a DNA sample, and the test's results confirmed that the torso found in the woods did in fact belong to Mindy Kassotis. Police struggled to understand why nobody had reported her missing. How did she just disappear without anybody noticing for so long? When police asked her family about her passing, none of them were shocked at all. In fact, they all knew about her death. They just didn't know she had been brutally murdered. Mindy's parents told detectives that she had died weeks ago from a stroke while in hospital. She had allegedly gone in to be induced into labor because of blood pressure issues, which took a tragic turn as both Mindy and her child were sadly lost. Her parents were out of state at the time and received the tragic news from her husband, Nicholas. Nicholas told her parents that he had gone to the birthing center expecting to pick her and their child up, but was instead given the devastating news.
I was given an address in Savannah. I don't recall exactly where it was. I drove out there that afternoon. It was a brick building. Somebody was waiting outside and brought me into, like an office and said that Mindy had passed away. He said that she just passed away very suddenly, and that they thought it might have been her heart, but they weren't sure.
They told you that she had passed away.
Yeah.
And what did you do then?
I yelled and sobbed.
Okay.
I was a wreck. Somebody contacted me and said that they had cremated her body. I was extremely upset. I thought that I was going to, need to make a decision on where she was sent.
You didn't know who that person was?
No. He said that the fee was $5,000 payable in cash.
Okay. Did you pay that?
I did. I met him the next day in Montgomery. I withdrew $5,000 in cash.
Did you ever inquire about a death certificate?
No, I did not. No, I should have.
An autopsy had been scheduled for the following day, but Nicholas was apparently contacted by the hospital, who had explained to him that she had been accidentally cremated. According to Nicholas, he was furious, but had accepted it and moved on with his life. Detectives knew this version of events didn't add up. Nicholas said she had been cremated, but Mindy's body was found dismembered in the woods. When questioned, Nicholas was unable to provide detectives with the name of the hospital Mindy had supposedly died in, her doctor's name, or provide them with her death certificate. He further claimed he had met someone to pick up her ashes and paid $5,000 in cash, but he had no name or contact information of the individual. The story Nicholas had given police was almost unbelievable, but the case quickly evolved into one of the most bizarre on record. Located near the woodland where Mindy's body was found is a pumping station owned by the city of Riceboro. This pumping station is equipped with a CCTV camera. Police recovered the CCTV recordings and found the camera captured a 2022 Ford Explorer driving past the station at 11:16 a.m. on the suspected day of the murder. This was the same model of vehicle owned by Nicholas Kassotis. 44 minutes later, at 12 p.m., the same vehicle is captured leaving the area. So what had the occupant of the vehicle been doing for 44 minutes in the remote wooded area? Armed with this recording, police brought Nicholas Kassotis in for a formal interview. Nicholas admitted to driving past the water pumping station, but claimed that the FBI had told him to do it. Nicholas then stated that a year after he and Mindy were married, they started receiving death threats via mail left in their mailbox. They received phone calls with nothing but heavy breathing on the other end before the caller hung up. He also claimed their bank account had unauthorized withdrawals. Nicholas also explained that after he was attacked in his home by several men with baseball bats, he contacted authorities who connected him with the FBI. According to Nicholas, the specialist by the name of Jim McIntyre was assigned to their case. Jim advised them of what to do to keep safe, which meant moving several times per year and staying under the radar.
Jim.
Okay.
Yes. The last name McIntyre.
Okay.
I quite honestly, I feel like he's lied to me so much that
Have you ever met him in person?
I have met him in person, yes.
Where'd you meet?
I've met him multiple times. He's shown places where we were, told us that he thought it was time for us to move, to find a better place.
What sort of lies? He was asking you to lie on his behalf. What do you mean by it?
Sometimes it was a matter of like telling us stuff that I have reason to doubt, that my parents were not actually my parents. Sometimes it was.
So he told you that your parents weren't your parents.
Yes.
Okay. And how did he get that? What was his source of the information?
He had me take a DNA test and told me that the result that he had gotten a sample from them.
Okay.
He would put me on the phone with people he said were, investigators that I questioned whether they were.
Nicholas told police that on the morning of November 29th, the morning police believe Mindy was killed, Jim McIntyre had advised him to pack all their belongings into black storage containers. According to Nicholas, Jim said they had to move location again because they weren't safe. Jim provided Nicholas with GPS coordinates with instructions to deliver those containers to a member of Jim McIntyre's security team. While the request seems strange to police, according to Nicholas, they had moved 50 times in the past 3 years for their safety when Jim had requested it. Nicholas was allegedly instructed by the security team to turn off his phone when he was 20 minutes away from the destination and leave it off for a further 2 hours. An unidentified man would take delivery of the plastic storage containers and forward them to their next address provided by Jim McIntyre.
The day that you bought the knife and traveled down the road, where did you go?
I left. I stopped for gas. I stopped at Home Depot. I believe I stopped and talked to Jim.
Was Mindy's money in the car?
No, sir. No, sir. And then I drove out there.
Out where?
I don't know. I believe I had an address to the church, and then I had a GPS location after that.
The first story was you had GPS coordinates.
Yeah, yes.
You mentioned nothing of address, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but I've been trying to think about this. I believe they said to a church, not to pull in, but I believe it was like a wasteland.
What did they say? So Mindy didn't tell you this?
I forget exactly.
So you forget back to the same story. It's easier to remember. Tom Sawyer says this. It's easier to remember the truth. While we're talking here today, so many more lies keep coming up.
No, sir. I've done weird stuff for years.
So back to your travels of the day that you bought the knife. Yes. Where'd you go?
I stopped for gas. I stopped at Home Depot. I believe that I stopped and spoke to Jim. And then I drove to the location I was supposed to go to.
Okay. Well, what did you do there?
I stopped. A gentleman came out of the house.
The 40 minutes that you were there, there's no house at that 40 minutes that you stopped at. So I think we can cut the house out if you'd like. So you don't have to remember a house because there was no house.
I stopped at a house.
How long did you stay?
I'm not exactly sure. He talked to me for a couple minutes about something he was doing. He had some stuff in his front yard.
Yeah, so what else did you do?
I asked if I could go to the bathroom. I peed behind a tree. He directed me over there. I removed the things from the back of the car, and I don't know.
And it wasn't your personal property that was in those containers, it was Mindy.
No, sir. I packed those containers myself. It was her laptop. It was,
You did pack on yourself. If your wife's dismembered body,
Sir, that's not true.
that is true. And you had it in your car when you drove down that dirt road.
Sir, that's not true.
That is what you placed in the dirt, 30 or 40 feet off the roadway.
Sir, that is not true.
That is absolutely true, Nick.
Exactly what the record showed.
Sir, that's not what happened.
Your phone, in your vehicle's phone, everything, every stop is recorded. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He says
So your 40 minutes that you're there, you're at the exact same spot where your wife's torso was found. The other spot where you dug with the shovel
And hit roots.
and hit roots, that's recorded on the very same information. The next spot that you stopped and buried her skull is covered, the exact same stuff. Even the next spot with the leg is covered. So the stops are, I mean, it's like watching it on TV. It's not, there's no issues here. It's very clear.
Unknown to Nicholas, his new Ford Explorer had an inbuilt car phone with GPS function, which tracked his movements despite his personal phone being switched off, allowing police to confirm that he was in the area where Mindy was found at the time her body was discarded. Going through his purchases, police were able to find footage of Nicholas early that month at a Home Depot buying a shovel, presumably the one that dug the hole to bury Mindy's decapitated head. Police also tracked down more footage from a second Home Depot store that showed Nicholas buying the red-handled Milwaukee utility knife. On the hunt for more evidence, police searched Nicholas and Mindy's home. Luminol, a chemical used in forensic science to detect bloodstains at crime scenes, was sprayed on the floor at the family home. The luminol highlighted several spots, showing that blood had been there but appeared to have been cleaned. The walls in the living area were also examined and fluoresced under forensic lighting, revealing extensive blood spatter. When detectives pulled back pillows on the sofa, they discovered a large brownish stain. Further examination showed blood had seeped into the cushioning on the pillow. This blood was tested and was confirmed as a match to Mindy's DNA. When detectives asked Nicholas how to contact Jim McIntyre, he passed on some seemingly unfortunate news. According to Nicholas, the two laptops he had that were used to communicate with Jim were stolen out of his Ford Explorer. He then alleged that while driving his nearly brand new car, smoke had started streaming from the hood before the whole car erupted in flames, with the GPS he used to earlier locate the man from Jim's security team also being destroyed in the fire. In addition to all this, according to Nicholas, inside of the now burnt-out car had been a cashier's check for over $800,000 that he was going to use to buy a new house, now apparently turned to ash in the fire.
The big question is why?
Sir, anything I ever lied about, I was told to lie about.
Okay. So, right now, if you said you killed her, you'd say, because I was told to lie.
Sir, I never killed her.
So if Jim told you to say that, you would say that?
No, sir.
Okay. So my point is, everything you do, if Jim told you to jump off a cliff, you were going to jump off a cliff.
Yes, sir. For years we did exactly what Jim told us to do.
So
He wanted full access to our lives. He said he was keeping us safe.
Did Jim tell you to burn your car?
Sir, I didn't burn my car.
Well, the burns that you got, that you described to the insurance adjuster for your medical records,
Yes.
when you describe burns going up into your nose and your face, it sounds like a flash burn from fumes. Sounds like a flash burn from fumes from an accelerant.
Sir, I opened the car door, and that's when the flames got mine.
But what was important in the car that got burned up that day?
I thought my phone was in there.
What else was in there?
I don't know. I had some random stuff in there.
Was there a check in there?
Yes, there was a check in there.
What was the check for?
The check was for a house.
And what was the insurance company going to do about that?
I don't think the insurance company had anything to do with the check.
Was it a sizable check?
Yes, sir.
How much?
$860,000.
Just gone.
Yes, sir.
Almost $1 million check gone.
Yes, sir.
And you couldn't get a replacement.
No. No, I spoke to Jim afterwards, and he said he would get a replacement, but it would take a while.
Further investigations revealed that not only was Nicholas a decorated JAG officer with the Navy who held 2 law degrees, he was an avid true crime enthusiast and a philanderer. In the months before Mindy was killed, Nicholas had contacted Samantha Kolesnik, an author of true crime and independent filmmaker. The pair instantly hit it off. Nicholas claimed that he too was an author and said that Sony had agreed to purchase a story he had made called "I Think My Mother-in-Law Is Trying to Kill Me" for $300,000 to use in a film production. Nicholas organized to meet Samantha Kolesnik for the first time on December 16, 2022, but he did not meet her as Nicholas Kassotis. Nicholas had changed his name to Nicholas Killian James Stark. Nicholas told Samantha that Mindy and their unborn child had died many years ago, and that he had been widowed for some time before meeting her. The two began a relationship, became engaged in February, and quickly got married in April of 2023, with Nicholas moving to Pennsylvania to be with her. However, Nicholas failed to tell Samantha that Mindy wasn't his first marriage.
Like I said, your story is fine, but your story is not reality. Even to the point of the new wife. You know, when you apply for a marriage license.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Remember applying for that marriage license?
Yes, sir.
Remember the questions it asked?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What did you say on that marriage license?
I said that I'd been married once. I said that Mindy passed away in 2020.
Okay.
2 things that Jim told me to put down.
So you lied because Jim told you to lie.
Yes, sir.
Is Jim telling you to lie here today?
No, sir. I'm not spoken to Jim. I'm a little unclear on the timeline, but
Nicholas's first marriage was to a woman named Heather Thomas. Nicholas wanted children badly, but the pair had failed to become pregnant, leading to the breakdown of the relationship in 2015. Only a year later, he married Mindy. Despite Nicholas telling friends and family they were expecting a baby, a Georgia Bureau of Investigation autopsy revealed Mindy was not pregnant at the time of her death. After Mindy's tragic demise, Nicholas married Samantha only months later. A pattern was seemingly emerging here, one that showed if his wife couldn't provide children for Nicholas, they would be discarded. Nicholas's divorce from his first wife Heather was costly, and he was ordered to pay her $1.5 million in the divorce settlement. This was no problem for Nicholas, as he had claimed he had $32 million which he had earned working on classified projects in the Pentagon and for the U.S. government. Nicholas told police the only issue was he didn't have that in cash money, rather in stock options that Jim McIntyre had provided in a trust he didn't have access to in order to allegedly keep him safe. This was the apparent reason he hadn't paid Heather the court-ordered settlement money. However, Nicholas had cut all ties with family members, never held any further employment, and moved houses constantly to avoid being arrested for not paying the money.
I mean, the things that we did for years, the places we went,
You did to get away from the judgment from Heather.
No, sir.
So you didn't know you were wanted and on the run from Heather and the judgment, the civil judgment?
No, sir. Jim told me that I'd been taken care of.
How did Jim take care of that?
I don't know, sir.
So,
Heather cheated on me, sir. She cheated on me, she married the man, she cheated on me, but the day after our divorce was final. Sir, I thought I had it. The only reason I signed the settlement is because Jim told me that the money was there. The settlement would make no sense otherwise, so. We stipulated to the judgment.
About 1.5 million?
Yes,
But the judge said he wanted movement by next Wednesday, and you never came back.
because Jim told me at that point that he'd paid enough.
Nicholas's third wife, Samantha, grew suspicious of Nicholas's changing history soon after their wedding. She asked to see proof of his identity and was provided with a driver's license showing his name as Nicholas Stark, which was later proven to be a fake. A letter of employment was also provided to Samantha, but again was later revealed to be entirely photoshopped. When the fire had claimed his Ford Explorer and the alleged check for the new house, Samantha had enough. Trusting her instinct that this man wasn't who he said he was, she filed for an annulment of the marriage and later cooperated fully with investigators.
Sir, I never hurt my wife.
Yes, you did.
I've never put a hand on a woman. I did not hurt Mindy.
but you lie. And you lie a lot about a lot of things. And have continuously lied.
Sir, I've been told to lie in certain situations. Sir, I've told the truth to the best of my ability.
The truth's just too hard to tell.
No, sir.
You've continued to lie, you lied from the beginning, and you continue to lie to him. And that's where we're at. You understand that? So this is your opportunity here now to say what happened in that room. At that house. With her. With Mindy.
Sir, nothing happened.
That's it.
All right, sir. You really gonna put Frank and Betsy through all this?
Sir, I never hurt.
They love you.
Sir, I lived to him.
Do you love Mindy?
Yes, sir.
Police just didn't buy his story. Nicholas Stark, formerly known as Nicholas Kassotis, was arrested for the murder of Mindy Kassotis. Police suspected that the defendant became mad when he learned that Mindy was no longer pregnant and wanted to move on to a woman who could provide him with the children he so desperately wanted. Nicholas maintained that he was innocent and had nothing to do with her death. His trial began in August of 2025 in Georgia. There was a lot to unpack in this case, particularly around the mysterious Jim McIntyre. The prosecution and defense gave their opening statements.
I introduced myself yesterday, but just so, again, y'all know who I am. My name is Doug Weinstein, and I am representing Mr. Kassotis in this case. It is my honor to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, my client, Nick Kassotis, is not just an accomplished attorney and decorated JAG officer who served his country in Iraq and in the Pentagon. He is also a man who lived in fear. Relentless, all-consuming fear. His wife Mindy also lived in fear. Mr. Kassotis is accused of the unthinkable, the absolutely unthinkable, murdering his wife. But the truth, what really happened, is far more complex. Mr. and Mrs. Kassotis were told that they were targets. You'll hear testimony that a man calling himself Jim McIntyre, who knows if that is his real name, claiming to be with the FBI, told them that their lives were in danger, that they had to disappear, follow orders without question, and trust no one. Mr. Kassotis lied to his friends. He lied to his family. He lied to Mindy's loved ones. He lied for years. not because he wanted to deceive them, but because he believed that their lives depended on it.
He found a headless, legless torso, nude, completely nude, with 2 arms, one almost severed, her 2 legs severed, her head severed, just off the roadway. And as you can imagine, you will hear him testify. They were shocked, horrified. And those records are going to show his car pinged from his house to Home Depot and his whole drive right down 95 to Riceboro, right across into where he dumps the body. And he's going to admit on the audio statements to law enforcement post Miranda, an attorney who waived his rights, he told them, I turned off my GPS. And you're going to hear the surprise in his voice when he learns they can track his car too. That's why I said December 1st. When he tells her parents he's going to the hospital to pick her up, she's already dead. Because he put her there. You're going to hear why everybody believed Mr. Kassotis. Counsel just told you all these wonderful things about his client. Decorated military veteran, prosecutor, judge advocate general with the Navy, Pentagon, Boston, 2 law degrees. It's not just her family that believed him. Everybody believed him. On paper, he looked like Prince Charming. I submit to you that's what the evidence will show.
Mindy's mother, Betsy, took the stand and gave an insight into Mindy's life, and when she was told that Mindy was no longer coming home.
Yes, I heard him come in the door, so I came bouncing out, and I was like, hey, how's Mindy doing? And he just started bawling, crying hysterically, and talking, and I really couldn't even understand much of what he said. So I said, please come out and sit in the living room, the den or whatever, and tell us what's wrong. And so that's when, all I could really understand was she's not coming home. So, and he meant Mindy.
Is that when he told you?
Yes.
And when he said she's not coming home, did you understand what he meant when he first said it?
No, not really. The way he was crying, I figured it was not good. Okay. So.
Did he eventually tell you she died?
Yes, and he did not know he didn't know exactly what had happened. He said he'd been texting her all morning and she didn't answer, so he thought she was sleeping.
Okay. At that point, when he told you that she had died, did you have an opportunity?
Excuse me just a minute.
Take your time.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Nicholas's first wife, Heather, also took the stand to provide her account of their marriage and subsequent divorce settlement.
What were his obligations under the divorce?
He was required to pay off the personal loan or refinance it if he couldn't pay it out in his own name. He was required to refinance or pay off the truck that he was driving. And he was required to either refinance or sell the property on Adrian Drive.
And at some point, was he ordered to pay you $1.5 million?
Yes.
Did he?
No.
Between 2015 and 2019, did the defendant cooperate with the divorce obligations?
No,
Did that cause any kind of hardship to you?
of course.
Like what?
It put me through a lot of emotional stress, but importantly, it put me through a lot of scrutiny for my own employment. I was, and still do hold a security clearance that required your credit to be good and all of your bills paid, all of that stuff. And by him not doing that for many, many months, I was in a situation where a piece of paper to submit to the Office of Personnel Management wasn't going to cut it. They wanted to see full extent of the law to pursue the resolution of that because my employment was at stake. The judge was very upset after he heard Nick testify under oath that he not only had the money, he had more than enough of the money, and that he just was refusing to pay it. So the judge was not very kind.
He admitted having how much money?
$32 million.
And so that $1.5 million that he had agreed to pay you, he agreed to that. He agreed to the $1.5 million in the course of the negotiation, correct?
Correct.
And had you seen any evidence that Nick had $1.5 million?
No.
Have you seen, or at the time, or at any time, did you see any evidence that Nick Kassotis had the $32 million that he said he had?
When he testified under oath.
I understand that. Did you see any, did you see any documentation of the $32 million?
No.
Bank statements
Oh, yes.
that showed $32 million?
They were fake, but yes.
And when you followed up on that, do you remember the bank?
Bank of America?
Okay. Did you do anything with Bank of America to see if there was $32 million in there?
I tried filing the judgment in every single banking institution in the Virginia area, sir.
And were you successful at getting the $1.5 million from any of those banks?
No.
What did they say about the $32 million when you presented Bank of America with those statements?
They've never heard of them.
Samantha Kolesnik, Nicholas's third wife, also took the stand to give an insight into their relationship.
What was your marital status?
I was separated. I'd already filed for divorce and moving from my marital home to my own home at that time. And I moved in November of 2022.
Okay. Did you know Mr. Stark's marital status?
I believed I had. He told me that he was a widower and that he had lost his wife and his unborn child about 2 years prior, and that they had both died in a hospital.
And he told you that when?
He told me that he first referenced that his wife had passed away in October of 2022 in Twitter direct messages.
He told you that in October of 2022?
Yes, in on Twitter in the direct messages.
Did you subsequently determine that that was not correct? Meaning, did you find out from law enforcement that that was not the case?
I found out from law enforcement that that was not the case on the date of his arrest, and that was not until May 2023.
Nicholas Kassotis took the stand in his own defense, hitting back at the claim his first wife made about wanting to have children, claiming it was Heather's choice not to have children with him, and that's what ended their marriage. He also detailed the dealings he had over a long period of time with FBI agent Jim McIntyre.
What kind of disagreements did you have?
Things about money, about career moves, about children.
What were the disagreements about children?
When we had started dating, Heather had stated that she wanted children and that it would be relatively easy for her to have children. That she had a something called PCOS. I'm not really sure what you would call it. It's not a disease. It's a syndrome of some type. That there were medications she could take that would make it very easy down the line for her to have children.
Did you ever have children with Miss Bassett?
I did not. No. We discussed it many times. At one point, we both got tested to see if everything was in working order, but she chose not to take the medication that and therefore we never had children. I don't believe there was never a pregnancy or the attempt of a pregnancy or thereafter.
What was the name given by the FBI agent?
Jim McIntyre.
What happened next with respect to Jim McIntyre?
He came back a couple days later.
Did you meet with him at that time?
I did.
Tell us about that.
He came to the house. I believe he had called to schedule it to make sure that I was going to be home at the time. He seemed very thorough, very professional. He wanted to know everything that had happened. He wanted copies of the emails that we had received. He wanted specific issues with the banks. I believe we printed out screenshots of the charges that showed what had been going on, and we provided all that to him. And he said that it was something he took seriously, and that he would be investigating it.
So some random individual shows up at your house, says he's with the FBI, and claims to be a man named Jim McIntyre. What did you do to verify that information?
I didn't verify it. Mindy believed that she had seen a badge, or she told me at the time that she'd seen a badge. I had no reason to doubt that he was who he said he was. It didn't cross my mind that somebody else could have shown up at my house at that time.
Nicholas claimed Jim McIntyre had provided all of the funds for the rentals they had been living in. But he was made aware that a friend's credit card was being charged with the costs for these instead.
Why did you believe Jim McIntyre was paying for all these places?
I believed that the money was being paid for us. I believed that he was protecting us because of this investigation.
How did Jim McIntyre get Cameron's credit card information?
I have absolutely...
Let me just finish the question,
sorry.
please. In order to have Cameron pay for all of this?
I have absolutely no idea.
How did you learn that?
I had a conversation with him as to why this was, why he was charging a friend of mine's card, why wasn't there, either coming from our own money or some sort of official fund, why this was happening. And I made some reference to wanting to speak to his superior, and he said, Nick, I'm not an FBI agent. Why would you think of that?
Nicholas went on to explain the tragic death of Mindy at a hospital he didn't know the name of, and a location he couldn't recall.
Who found Mindy's doctors?
Mindy did, I believe.
Do you know the names of her doctors?
I do not.
Who found the birthing center?
I believe that came from Mindy's doctor.
When did you next see Mindy?
I never saw Mindy again.
Why not?
I got messages Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday that I thought were from her. Everything seemed positive. And Thursday said I received a phone call and was told she'll be ready to pick up this afternoon. I'd sent her a few messages that hadn't heard back. I assumed she was either napping or undergoing some sort of test that she didn't have her phone with her. But that evening, Thursday, December 1st, I was told that she had died.
Who told you that she had died?
A man at a medical clinic of some sort that I went to.
Where was the medical clinic you went to?
Somewhere in Savannah or the greater Savannah area. I don't know Savannah very well, so.
What was the name of the man that told you that?
I do not recall.
The evidence against Nicholas Kassotis was overwhelming, but that didn't stop him from coming up with an excuse for every piece of evidence presented at trial. The knife, he claimed, was not the same as the one found at the scene. Prosecutors stated a 7-piece knife kit for cutting up deer was purchased by Nicholas from Bass Pro Shops, but was never located during the subsequent search of his home. When an identical set was examined by forensics, many of the tools shared similar characteristics to the tools used to dismember Mindy. The one thing Nicholas could not explain was the vast amount of blood evidence in the home he and Mindy shared together. However, when Nicholas was cross-examined by prosecutor Lori Bayo, she highlighted the lack of detail in Nicholas's testimony.
Never got a single document.
No, ma'am. I didn't have any reason to have a document, and so I failed to follow up on it.
You were on trial for murder. Correct?
Ma'am, I was not.
In anticipation of today and your testimony, you knew you were on trial for murder. correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you didn't bring a single court document with you.
Well, ma'am, I believe the testimony is fairly clear that I was lied to about Mindy's death and that I did not have a document because there were no documents.
You worked for Apis Security, correct?
I believe so, ma'am.
And the records for Apis Limited, you subpoenaed those records in anticipation of court, correct?
No, ma'am.
You know what a subpoena is as an attorney, right, sir?
I do, ma'am.
And you knew that Mr. McIntyre was a majority investor, I think is the phrasing that you used, right?
That was what I believed, ma'am.
You hired a private investigator to find him?
No, ma'am. I hope the state would do that, but y'all didn't really care that much.
From the circumstances surrounding Mindy's death, to Jim McIntyre's credentials, to paying $5,000 to an unidentified man for Mindy's ashes, whom he met on a back road in the middle of nowhere. From outward appearances, Nicholas seemed to revel in creating fictional stories which made him sound like a character from a spy film. Due to his Navy background, it was easy for him to sell the lie to people.
When they arrest Nick Kassotis, what does he do? Does he take advantage of his constitutional rights? He's a lawyer. Any lawyer worth a damn is not going to talk to law enforcement if they are a suspect. Any lawyer worth a damn tells their clients, do not speak to law enforcement. You have a constitutional right. Let me tell you all the reasons it's a bad idea. He didn't just have a JD. As you heard the state point out, he's a former prosecutor. He's a former defense attorney. He's speaking to law enforcement. Why is he doing that? Because as totally insane as the Jim McIntyre story is, he has nothing to hide.
He had 2 hours. 2 hours with a power saw. Then there's the abdominal wounds. This goes back to Mindy not being pregnant. And you're mad! She told you she was pregnant. You're mad. That's why you bury a head. That's why you stab her in the belly. That's murder, Mr. Kassotis. Premeditated, intentional homicide. And then he cut her up. And he tossed her out like garbage.
The trial lasted 8 days, and the jury was sent to deliberate. After only an hour, they came back with their verdict.
State of Georgia versus Nicholas James Kassotis. Count 1, malice murder, guilty. Count 2, felony murder, guilty. Count 3, aggravated assault, guilty. Count 4, concealing death of another, guilty.
In August 2025, Nicholas Kassotis was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole for the murder of his wife, Mindy Kassotis. It was summarized that he had killed her because she told him she was no longer pregnant, and the thought of not having his own children had sent him into an uncontrollable rage that cost Mindy her life. If you found this case compelling, help us out by liking the video and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss our next deep dive into shocking true crime cases. Channel memberships with extended perks, such as members-only videos or early video releases, are also available by hitting the join button. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video. Take care, everybody.